why was I like going to the toilet so many times at night? Why did I lack this self-discipline and self-control that other people had? And that led to a lot of blame and also shame also. Do you consistently wash your hands like all the time? I would say for me, the answer is not really. When it comes to the different types of OCD, there's actually a wide variety. The form of OCD that I'm currently dealing with, which is called sensory motor OCD. And that involves the physical sensations of the body and the obsessions around that. So I think when I was younger, like the main kind of spirit that was in my life was that of anxiety, and particularly social anxiety. And what I would do is I would sit at the void deck at night every single day for maybe like 2 to 3 hours, just replaying the social situations in my head. It started one day before a school camp that I was quite dreadful about. I was very anxious and I was very clumsy. And there's a lot of like physical exercise and like drills and stuff, and I was just not cut out for that kind of activity. And so I was scolded all the time. What I did to keep my mind off of the anxiety was to go to the toilet. And when I went to the toilet, I came back, but there was still a bit of that sensation, that incomplete sensation that there was still something inside. That eventually became a nightly ritual, especially whenever there's like stressful situations. I would just go again and again and again. And sometimes to the point where I would go up to like 40 to 50 times a night before I went to sleep. That became quite severe insomnia, especially in times where I needed the sleep the most, which was during like exams and school camps or any other kind of important dates. And so I would show up to those events like a zombie. In hindsight, I realized that there were some other events that I blamed myself for that were also attributable to OCD. And one of these incidents happened during my junior college. Basically, I had this very bad habit of writing after the paper ended. I believe it was the general paper. I wanted to finish this sentence that I wasn't able to complete before the bell rung. I did the same thing again during my geography paper. The words that I wrote, which was the two words wind speed. So basically I wrote W-I-N-D. Before I could complete the next sentence, I felt the examiner's like tap on my shoulder. Basically what happened is that he caught me, and because he had already like gave me a warning beforehand for the first time, he actually sent me to SEAB, the examining board. I could have been given a T grade, which is the same grade that you get for cheating. And that would have meant that my entire 2 years in school would have been wasted. Thank goodness I was just left with a warning. Can't you just stop your obsessions if you try hard enough? The first thing that I think of when I read this question is like, let's say if you're a depressed person, right? Can't you just be happy, you know? For me, the more I focused on trying to stop the obsession, that became an obsession in itself. I blame myself quite badly for like the longest time. Why was I like going to the toilet so many times at night? Why did I lack this self-discipline and self-control that other people had? And that led to a lot of blame and also shame also. I actually got diagnosed with OCD around 3 or 4 years ago. That means it's quite recent because I was facing this problem for like more than 10 years. I didn't initially tell people that I had OCD, partly because of the stigma around it, especially when I had suspicions but I hadn't confirmed it yet. After I got diagnosed, that was actually when, ironically, I started to feel a bit more comfortable telling people about it. Because I had already suspected it, but just hearing it from the doctor or the psychologist, I felt like there was a lot of dots being connected. That I was doing these things not because there was something inherently wrong about me, but it was because of a legit mental health condition or disorder because I knew what kind of battle that I was facing. Have you ever been misunderstood for your condition? Yeah, my answer is yes. I've been misunderstood quite a lot for my condition. So when it comes to my family, I didn't tell them that I had OCD. My father passed away when I was very young. In fact, when I was 3. So all this while, it's just been me and my mom. It puts you in a very interesting situation where you're close to someone, but also not close to someone. There's a reason why I didn't really want to tell her at first that I had these conditions. And sometimes she would scold me for wasting water, or why is the water bill so high? When I told her that I had OCD, I think it's a very standard parent response where oh, actually I also have it. There is this trend of let's say people saying, oh, I'm so OCD. They're basically saying that they are very organized or a neat freak. This understanding of OCD has led to some incidences of being misunderstood. There was a time where I was saying oh, I have OCD. Whereas I think somebody that was overhearing me came in and jumped in and said oh, why do you say that you have OCD when it's so triggering to people who have OCD, not knowing that I actually have OCD. As for my friends, nobody really called me out on it, but then there were times where it actually resulted in some conflicts with some of the people that I know. There was one time where I suggested to meet. I was the one who set the time, but then I was late for it because I went to go to the toilet many times. Actually, it became a full-blown conflict. She brought this up to me that why are you doing this when you were the one who even suggested this meeting in the first place. And that made me feel quite horrible. Thankfully, we worked things out and things got a lot more friendlier again, accommodating when we got back to Singapore. What helped me was realizing that even though I was having these urges and sensations, it does not mean that I have to follow them. And that is what we call acceptance. The approach that I use is called ACT, Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. Knowing this concept actually was what allowed me to kickstart my healing journey. I clearly remember the counselor was the first one who told me, is the OCD your fault? Did you choose to have this OCD? And my answer to that was no. And just hearing somebody else say that and reflect that back to me was something that was very relieving. It was only very recently, but I got closer to my mom when I had a very bad night of OCD-related insomnia. I just wanted somebody to talk to, and so I went to talk to her. And then we had a very sincere and genuine conversation. That was surprising for us because that's not just our way of communication. I realized that the communication was something that I myself didn't broach because I felt there was a lot of fear and this misconception that she wouldn't understand. And I realized that she could have supported me better if I had actually communicated it to her. Now that she's more aware of my symptoms, she actually doesn't even question me anymore if there's a lot of flushing or the water bill is quite high. She just kind of accepts that. Can someone with OCD truly heal? If your definition of heal is completely remove OCD from your brain and your mind, I would go as far as to say that that's impossible. Whereas if your definition of heal is can it be managed to the point where it does not interfere with your life anymore, the answer is 100% yes. My sleep has definitely gotten way better compared to last time. For my peeing, from about 4 to 5 hours a night. For me right now, it's maybe only 15 minutes to 30 minutes a night. One of the learnings that I have is that all these rules, right, that higher anxiety means more stress, means more OCD, that's a rule that I have to unlearn. And healing all this compulsions is more about unlearning than more about learning. So another source of support for me that was actually unexpected was social media. because when I started the page, it was more of a way for me to raise awareness of mental health conditions. As I started to post content more and more, and people started to relate to it, they would send me like DMs and comments like, I've never felt so hurt in my life. I've never seen something more like relatable. I realized that not only was I doing it to raise awareness of mental health, but at the time, I was actually feeling very isolated and lonely, and I wanted some form of support. And one of the benefits of social media for me is to be able to express those things, that affirmation and that validation and support that I would have liked to give my younger self. Being able to make people feel heard and just receiving all of this valuable feedback has transformed my life in a way, and that led me to also pursuing a master's in counseling. I'm definitely at a much better place compared to even like 1-2 years ago. This learning that I have from dealing with all of these past OCD experiences has made me realize that I'm far more resilient than I thought I was. I'm always in conversation with my younger self, and sometimes I see, like, even when I see the mirror, right, I see this like kid who's like helpless and like powerless and so anxious and stressed out. And what I would say to him, the first thing is that all feelings pass. It's okay to take your time. Don't blame yourself for the things that you did in order to survive. As for the person I am now, I would say I'm definitely more confident in my ability to live through struggles and challenges. Like sometimes I look at the kid in the mirror and I tell him, we're the same person, you know? We look different, but we're the same person. And that you can be this way and I can lead you. So please trust yourself and forgive yourself.